welcome to part 2 of Totango's Canvas webinar series. So if you're joining us today, odds are you also attended part 1 of the series last week with our product owner, Nate. Like Lorena mentioned, as you were entering the webinar, we had a poll asking you if you would use the customer experience canvas yet. So we'll be sure to check on those results, and we'll let you know kind of towards the end of the webinar what we're seeing with that. So in this session, we'll be hearing, graphics. So in this session, we'll be hearing from one of our wonderful customers, Luke Johnson from Simpleview, who will share his experience using the customer experience canvas to drive success for his team. So my name is Claire Carlson, and I'm a customer success manager here at Totango. I specialize with our small enterprise customers. And as I mentioned, I'm joined today by my wonderful customer, Luke from Simpleview.
Hey everybody, good to be here. I'm playing a little hurt today. Came up sick after a recent conference, so I've brought sound effects to make up for my lack of experience or excitement. So excited to be here. We'll keep that going as we work through this deck, but excited to talk Canvas with everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Like, we're so excited to have you on this. And with that, I'm going to go through today's agenda. So first, we're going to begin with some background about Simpleview. Then Luke is going to dive into Simpleview's renewals and ARR and nurture programs and how he has used the canvas to help manage these programs in Totango. Then we'll discuss his key takeaways for this webinar, and then we'll leave some time at the end for questions. So before we dive into Simpleview's programs, I want to just give a quick recap of the customer experience canvas as discussed in part 1 of the series. So the canvas brings journey design into Totango so that you can design and run all in one. So the canvas is the first and only solution that enables you to visually design, build, run, measure, and iterate on any customer journey in real time. And it enables you to bring together all of your automated playbooks and external campaigns into one place, allowing your team to visualize your complete engagement model, hone in on gaps, and implement changes quickly. So Luke, I'm sorry, go back. Okay, so Luke is going to give us an overview of Simpleview, and then we're going to go into how the canvas has helped him do just that.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks. Simpleview, if you guys haven't heard of us, we are a technology firm in the destination industry. So here's a picture of a bunch of our staff and us in the travel industry. Here's, the more mission statement driven slide. But like it says here, we're a software data analytics and insights company. We partner with destinations and their agencies to help bring tourism to that area, whether it's a city, county, state, country. We work all the way with Visit Norway down to the CVB, the DMO, right down the street from me, Visit Boulder in Colorado, so and everywhere in between. And so whether our clients market a venue, a resort, a city, state, or a country, we work with a bunch of, we build software much like Totango, just in a different vertical to help clients demonstrate their value and achieve their goals. So Totango has been a big help for my staff in trying to work with those clients.
Awesome. So Simpleview had a number of programs built out in Totango prior to the release of the canvas, managing customers across your journey stages, as well as throughout focus initiatives like upsell and risk. So Luke, what initially interested you in implementing Canvas across these programs, and how did you get started?
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where my team, my directors, the people that oversee our CSR team, we had all these processes in our head to some degree, and we had put them down into Tango in kind of the old-fashioned success play list or grid that we'll see in some of the slides to come. But Canvas is what allowed us to really open things up to a much more visualizable, transparent way to help both longtime CSRs, and we've had a lot of new CSRs. The Great Resignation did not avoid Simpleview. We've had some turnover, but we've come out on the plus. We're happy to say that we're up in terms of staff since the beginning of the pandemic, but that's meant a lot of onboarding. And so Canvas has really helped us explain not only, hey, here's how to work into Tango, but here's what you as a CSR are meant to do in terms of all the things you see here: onboarding, nurturing, renewals, upsells, and risk. And so we'll dive into a couple of those as we keep going here.
Yes, exactly. So Luke is going to share his experience now using the Canvas to help manage his team's renewal and error process into Tango.
All right. So the challenge, like I mentioned, was that we have three different sort of renewal tracks. We sell two primary pieces of software to our clients, and then a third track is a whole bunch of other potential managed services. And so our CSRs have clients that have potentially 10 different products that they buy from Simpleview. And so staying on top of that is a big key to their success.
Okay, so does your team manage the renewals by product, and then there's different renewal dates and processes for each of those products?
Yeah, exactly. Every product can have its own renewal window, and potentially some of those align sometimes. Knock wood when we're able to make that happen. But there are clients where they have these products on a 3-year renewal cycle. They have these on a 1-year renewal cycle, and so keeping that juggle, top of mind, can be difficult. And so Totango plus Canvas, I think, has kind of helped that make sure, okay, if I'm staying on top of these things, I'm going to have success in my renewal process.
Awesome.
And so, as you might guess, we've used typical training decks for onboarding. This is a screenshot of one of the decks we use when we're first onboarding our CSRs with Totango. But Totango is great because it is so flexible, right? And editing each deck upon each change, as our processes tend to do over the months and the years, can be difficult. And then also, there's a bunch of CSRs that don't have a need for onboarding due to their tenure, right? And so being able to put the equivalent of kind of an onboarding and a training directly in the Canvas view has been really helpful.
So before Canvas, did you find that it was difficult to make changes to this process if you needed to, and then to communicate those changes?
Yeah, the communication part was the tough part again, right? There's usually a pretty good list of items that kind of live in all of our directors' heads, but making sure that the entire team of 18 plus CSRs is in step with those is the tough part, and Canvas really helped with that.
Awesome.
And so here is that, the success play view, the grid view, the folder view, which makes sense to those of us that are admins and know where to go look for it, but doesn't exactly tell a story, right? It doesn't paint a picture. And so that's where Canvas came in. It was able to take what lived in our heads, what lived in these different folders, and move that into, a much more usable format.
Awesome. So before it was maybe just more organizational for you as an admin, and now with the Canvas, the team is kind of able to see those processes in those tracks and through those flows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's different folders here for the annual contracts, CRM and CMS. Those are kind of our big three. And then the rest of them just kind of lived out in the middle of nowhere. And we'll see, once we move to this to Canvas, we're able to zoom in and make those things a lot more clear in terms of how they should be managed.
Awesome. So sometimes you don't quite know where to start in implementing Canvas, especially if you have established programs in place. And this is some of the questions that came up in part 1 of this series. So Luke, how did you approach getting started? And what are some of the best practices that you would recommend for other Totango users who are getting started with Canvas?
Yeah, I would say the great thing about Canvas, that as we'll see here as we jump through some more of these slides, is you actually don't need to think about it too hard on that first draft of Canvas, right? And Canvas can be turned on for public viewing whenever you're ready. And so I took the approach of just diving in, right? I had kind of a folder structure. I had structures by product, structures by milestone, different things like that. And I tried putting them in the different Canvas tracks that I thought made sense. And obviously with the drag and drop and the ability to hide certain things and keep things active, it was really easy to say, actually, it would make more sense if I created a new track and put these things in this order. So the that process, the flexibility of Canvas, I think, should give people don't be shy, just kind of dive in and take a shot. And if you need to make edits, it's the furthest thing from being set in stone, right? Drag and drop, and you can have a new setup in a couple of clicks.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we have a few slides now just showing, what the Canvas is like for this process, your renewal and ARR process. So how did the Canvas, I guess, to start, make this process simpler for you and your team?
Yeah, I really liked the fact that it's almost like old school flashcards, right? We used to work with our clients to build sitemaps for the website, and we would get a card for each web page, and we would lay it on a table, and we would find ways to put it under the right groupings. And I felt that Canvas digitally worked like that, and that personally appeals to me. I don't think I have a piece of paper on my desk or here in my office at home in Boulder. I'm a very digital guy, and so I was able to, I think, use Canvas to its best advantage there, which was by, okay, I know what all these different success plays are, these tasks, these campaigns. Let me, use these like flashcards and put them in the best possible spot.
Mm-hmm. And then what do you wish that you would have known, kind of looking back, and what's that advice that you would give for other people wanting to start kind of building this out? I know you touched on that a little bit in the last
Mm-hmm.
slide, but
Yeah, I would say figure out kind of your sharing plan. If you're going to get a first draft of Canvas ready, then try to do that yourself, hopefully with some input from the right people. And then maybe first share that with your directors or kind of your key stakeholders, your decision makers that work in Totango. And then I think we'll cover it later as well, but it's really awesome to have the ability to share this out even to people that don't have Totango, right? There is an export the Canvas view into a PNG or a PDF that you can then use to say, hey, here's how we in customer experience are handling renewals, risk, nurturing, right? So take advantage of that when you can.
And these are just showing, Luke, some of your processes in Totango. So would just love to hear you kind of explain how you thought about breaking out the different tracks.
Yeah. So here's my renewals block view. It's big and you probably can't zoom in on any particular thing here. But hopefully this is already more appealing visually, right, than that screenshot we saw earlier of the folder structure. So in the following slides, let's just zoom in on a couple of these columns. So this is the view of our three primary product tracks, right? And so we have CMS, our content management system, our CRM system, and then our annual contract review. And so there's essentially three renewal tracks for three product types. Realizing that not everybody, sells products in a similar way to us. I think what's most applicable to hopefully other people on this webinar is the flexibility, right? If you have a series of different products or products that make sense to be grouped into a similar track, then Canvas gives you the ability to create 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 tracks, however it makes sense. And then for us, the number of steps within each stack is different. The CRM and CMS renewals run on a 3-year term and hence have more complicated steps. We need to check on line items and we need to potentially get signatures, whereas some of the annual contract items tend to just be more, hey, let's do a check-in, let's get a verbal on a renewal, that kind of thing, and let's move on from there. So I've added and removed elements from these kinds of tracks many times since Canvas launched and have no intention of stopping that, right? That's one of the big advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Totango expects that these processes will change. And so, the Canvas really helps to adapt to any changes and updates. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then this is just a quick snapshot of some of the other tracks. The one I want to zoom in on here is in the middle there, the CYOA or Choose Your Own Adventure track. If anybody remember those books from the 80s, I'm showing my age here. But the goal here is that this is a series, and it's only 2, but we have plans for a lot more, of success plays that our CSRs can go in and run when they need to. It's not built on a time trigger or a usage trigger or something like that. It is instead just built on the fact that they can go in and say, oh, I have a client that I want to check in on. I want to go check on support hours. I'm going to come here and use Canvas to see what's available to me and choose what's there, and then run that process for myself. So it's just a great way to kind of show the menu of options to our CSR team.
Awesome. And Luke, I know that you touched on this a few moments ago, but I'm also just curious how you have used the sharing feature, who you've shared it to, and how that has helped kind of display the success of what you've implemented here.
Absolutely, yeah. So the age old, friendship with marketing and sales. That's something that we work with all the time, right? And so we want to make sure that we're in step with marketing. If they're sending out promotions for a webinar, they're sending out updates on new products, whatever it might be, we want to make sure that we're helping them out and that we're not stepping on each other's toes there. And so taking the Canvas view and exporting it, to a PDF and showing that to marketing or other departments to say, here's how we're handling renewals, here's how we're handling upsells. That has come in really handy because we're not in a spot to have Totango access for our entire our entire company just yet. Hoping to get there, but right now it is just for our CX team. But the sharing abilities within Canvas really help out there.
Awesome. So thank you, Luke. So next, we want to focus on your nurture process and some of the different challenges you were facing there that the Canvas has also helped you solve.
Absolutely. Yeah, so compartmentalizing, easy for me to say, our nurture efforts has been a fun part. We have a certain set of clients that have a dedicated CSR, right, where that CSR knows anything and everything about their products. Excuse me, but we have other clients that have a very similar product set, and as a result, we've kind of put them more into a distributed customer experience team. And so the fact that their product set is somewhat similar allows us to make the most of some of the Totango features, automation, campaigns, and things like that. And Canvas has only helped show that off more.
Oh, awesome. So did the Canvas kind of prompt you to also think about how you would organize and separate out your processes across your customer types?
Absolutely. And you'll see in some of the screenshots that follow, we've got tracks that are based on product. We've got tracks that are based on client. We've got tracks that are based on certain efforts that might actually fall across both types of clients. So yeah, Canvas has been very helpful in us kind of figuring that out as we go. So here you can see this is our customer journey. These are the ways that our clients walk through this, and this isn't set up in the onboarding block into Tango. We're working towards that, but we did want to focus in on the maintain and nurture phase that our clients get into, and sometimes we'll stay in for potentially years at a time, which is a good thing. But there's plenty to do during that phase, right? So we want to focus in on that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, here is the admin tool view, right, of the nurture. And again, this is even tougher to break down and figure out in this view. But once again, Canvas to the rescue.
Woo-hoo, shout out.
Thanks to Canvas jumping in there and helping us with what we'll see here on the next slide.
Amazing.
And so here is some of those different tracks. We've got a couple call outs here on the next slide, but we've got client anniversaries. We've got check-ins based on usage. Excuse me. There's certain reports that we send out based on some of our products on a monthly basis. All of that is laid out here in these different tracks. And this clearly calls out how we're tending to each item. Yeah. So here's the big view. We'll jump into a couple different items here as we keep going. Yeah, so this one is our checklist tool, and we help build websites for our clients. So kind of checking in and having our CS team stay involved, after the site launches and their project management team moves on to do other builds. We have a series of automated checkpoints that will get sent to the CSR as they go, right? And so this clearly calls out at 7 days, at 1 month, at 3 months, at 6 months, they're going to get a notification. It's going to have a link to a document that gives them, all the different things that they might want to check in on as they go. And so this has been a really helpful thing for both our tenured CSRs and our newcomers to say, hey, how plugged in should I be here, as a client moves from that onboarding phase into, the more detailed phase. And then the second column, it shows some of the automation that we employ for our clients that have a CS team rather than a dedicated CSR, emails that go out at anniversary marks and different things like that. So it's a similar outcome, but it shows that we're able to have different approaches depending on the client, depending on the CSR, and Canvas really calls that out really easily.
That's awesome.
Next up, this is one of our reports that we send out. We have clients that use one of our booking referral engines, and this gives them updates on how things are going, how many bookings and different things they got. It's a combination of campaigns using a Google Drive, custom URL fields, and more. But just being able to visualize and say, hey, here's all the campaigns that have gone out. Excuse me, here are the ones that are drafts and are ready to go at the right time next month. These are all manual one-time campaigns, but again, Canvas is really great in that you can, as you create those, drag those in here and put those in the right spot. You can go hide really old ones where nobody's checking in on those anymore, right? And keep this nice and tidy.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think for campaigns too, like obviously those are external. So it's really great for the team to just be able to see what's being sent to their customers, just staying up to date on all that communication that's going out.
Exactly. Yeah. Being able to come here and click on that to then jump to the campaign report, much
Mm-hmm.
easier than going to the campaigns tab, sorting by date, sorting by name. This is a very easy way to get from A to B.
Awesome. So, oh, yeah, we have one more.
Yeah. And then just one more. This is a more automated campaign that is sent out to clients where we see their usage slipping a little bit, right? And so this is the kind of thing that our CRM clients that have a CS team, they don't have a CSR that is able to manually check on this and send out these emails. So we use the automated campaign feature to send this out to our clients. And it's not a, hey, you're really not doing great. It's, hey, we noticed this and we want to check in. And if you're busy or you were on vacation, great. But if not, we're here to help, right? So this is just another way of saying, let's use automation and let's clearly call out what those items are. And so both myself, my team, my supervisors, they can all see all the automation that we have set up, what triggers it, how it goes out, when it's gone out. And again, just great visualization within Canvas.
Certainly. Well, thank you, Luke. Simpleview has obviously built out some really robust, efficient programs in Totango, even beyond the two that Luke has shared with us today. So we want to equip all of you attending the webinar with the key takeaways from his experience so that you can find success using the customer experience canvas as well. And I did also get the results in from the poll. And interestingly, the audience is split pretty much three ways between knowing what the canvas was before starting the webinar, not knowing what it was, and then they know what it is, but they don't know where to start. So this slide's definitely going to help all of our audiences today. And then those of you who didn't know what the canvas was, hopefully now you are full of knowledge about that. So going through our key takeaways today, just starting with getting started. So start with a customer journey or a program that you can visualize, maybe it lives in your head, and just kind of get started. Think about how you can break out your program into different tracks and just give it a shot, because the canvas is iterative. You can always make changes. It's designed that way so that as your programs change, the canvas changes with you. So the next item is that this is going to allow you to simplify your processes. So this is going to enable your team to visualize and understand your journey stages and initiatives so that they can clearly understand the processes in place, as well as understand any changes that have been made. Identify gaps and opportunities. So as you're mapping out your internal playbooks and external outreach or campaigns within your different programs, you're going to be able to more easily identify potential gaps or areas where you can maybe add some more automation and kind of build out your processes even more. And then finally, increasing visibility. So like Luke said, sharing the canvas with others at your organization that maybe don't have that access, and increasing visibility into your programs and the success that you're achieving with those programs, as well as communicating process changes to your team quickly and more efficiently. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Luke, for sharing your experience. I know, yeah. I know I learned a lot from you, so I'm sure our attendees feel the same. And just thank you all for joining us. I think Lorena mentioned in the beginning at the chat that this will be available for y'all to reference later on our YouTube channel. So please do look out for that. But with that, I will stop sharing and thank you all so much.
Thanks, everybody.